Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another live session. For everybody who's here in the US, this is Thanksgiving week, so the potential for a slower live session today, which is fine. I definitely wanted to make sure that I went live today because there's a lot of news that popped up, especially this morning. So we're probably going to want to address some of that news right off the bat. And of course, I'm always here to answer any questions that come up and whatever, regardless the size of the audience today. Just again, knowing it's Thanksgiving week, happy to do any Q&A, answer any questions that come in, and it will likely be a shorter session today. These holiday weeks are pretty slow, and then I'll get feedback from the audience today in terms of how late into the year we're going to do the lives. I'm thinking probably just two to three, maybe. I think actually my plan is to do 3 more weeks this year, so we'll have a few more of these sessions, and then the last couple of weeks I'll take off at the end of the year. So if this is your first time here, my name is Jeff H. Sipe. My business is practiceinterviews.com. We do interview coaching. We do negotiation coaching. I have a free interview, I have an interview mastery course. It's a paid course. Tons of free resources on the website, from resume to practice interview questions to how to set up your behavioral and open-ended answers. And of course, if you haven't joined our Slack group, it's free. We have almost 3,700 members who are asking each other questions, and then we have some gurus who are coming in and giving great advice, and it's all free. Okay. The last piece, if you have never been to practiceinterviews.com, please go ahead and just sign up for our site so you can get our monthly newsletter. And here's why that's super important. I'm offering a Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. And for anybody who's signed up or ever downloaded anything, you just got that email. It landed in your inbox 2 minutes ago. So I'm giving the biggest discount I've ever given on the mastery course. And I'm actually going to give a discount on interview coaching and negotiation coaching to the first 10 people that sign up for that offer. If you've never logged into practiceinterviews.com, just sign up. We're going to trigger that email a couple of additional times. You won't get it today, but it should have a couple more triggers through Black Friday and Cyber Monday so that you can at least take a peek at those discounts and see if it's something that interests you. Okay. So the title of today's live is anyone hiring? Of course, companies are hiring, especially big companies. They're always going to have attrition. They're always going to have specialized needs. So what is the big piece of news that came out this morning? If you didn't see, there's rumors that Google's going to lay off about 10,000 people. Do we believe those rumors? We don't know. They're getting a lot of pressure from one of their investors that invests about $6 billion, but I don't think that they'll yield to that pressure, but I think that potentially some layoffs are coming. There are rumors that Mark Zuckerberg is going to resign next year. There was just an article this morning on Amazon Alexa and that division losing $10 billion. There's tons of interesting stuff going on. Hopefully we'll get some positive news coming in today. So let's do it. Let's dive in. Let's go through our Q&A. Again, I expect it to be a pretty slow, pretty quick session today. So if you do have any questions, throw them our way. Let's see how we can get the audience engaged. If you like what we're doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, I go live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time in the US, and then new original content videos every other Monday. Let's dive in. Do you have any recommendations on resources, resume writing? Absolutely. Practiceinterviews.com. Go use that free resource resume template. I personally don't think we should pay somebody to write our resume, and here's why. Resume writers tend to have a very, very specific vision of what a good resume is, but oftentimes they forget about the audience. The audience, who is that? Well, if we're talking about most of the people coming into these lives, you're going after a job at big tech. What does that mean? Your resume is going to get about 3 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. So creative resumes and all this in the mindset of this resume writer, typically it's not great. Simplicity is key. Bulleted summary is absolutely critical. And then we definitely want to make sure that in our experience that we have responsibilities and accomplishments. Responsibilities will hit on some of those keywords they're looking for. But go to practiceinterviews.com, download that free resume template. You can always book a session with me, a practice interview to do the resume stuff, but I don't recommend it. Okay, hey Jeff, what is the total comp for a network architect for Google Cloud remotely from Atlanta? Hey Michael, come back. Let us know level. Level will be helpful. And anybody who wants any comp ranges, I'm not always going to have the ideal comp range or anchor, but level, location, and role are going to be the 3 data points. Hey John, thanks for being here. Good to see you. All right, Liz. Hey, Jeff, what do you think about the timing of new applications? Get it done before or after Thanksgiving? Thanks very much for doing this. It's helping keep my mojo. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, we're trying to keep everybody's mojo up. Obviously, this has been a tough time for a lot of people. And, I always kind of tell the audience, like, I feel your pain. In July, when layoffs hit, it definitely had a big impact on my business. So I feel everybody's pain. So that's helpful. I'm empathetic. I'm in this journey with you. In regards to applications before or after Thanksgiving, I would just say if you see a potential fit, do it now, because other people probably and maybe have a slow week, so maybe they're looking at it too. And I just want to make sure that you're getting eyes on your application. Now, of course, my strong recommendation is referrals and networking over applying. But if you're thinking about the timing of applying, I would say sooner rather than later. Don't hold back. Hi, Jeff. Love your content. Okay. Thank you. I have been on hold for an L3 position after completing my onsite in July. Currently looking for new grad roles as you plan to graduate in spring of 2023. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there it is. And having a very bad experience with very few opportunities elsewhere too. Do you know when by the market will be normal? I wish. I really, really wish I knew. I wish I had that. I wish I had that insight, but I don't. I really anticipate, and in my perspective, I don't really see the job market returning to normal until at least 2024. And there's a lot of different factors, economic factors, that could prolong this a lot longer. There's also opportunities where wars end. We get more good, positive climate news happening. But, with all the things happening right now, I would think that 2023 isn't going to be a great hiring year in general. Now, will there be hiring? Of course, there's always going to be hiring. But I don't see it happening until 2024. And at a minimum, maybe the first 2 quarters of next year, I anticipate being slow. $6 billion is a drop in the bucket to Google's overall market value. Yeah, and Victor, I agree with you. I think that in our Slack group, one of our members, Raul, just posted the letter that this firm sent to Google, and it's meant to be very intimidating. And quite honestly, I don't think that they're going to be intimidated by them. I do think $6 billion isn't a huge investment, and them trying to push and say, hey, we have power here. They don't. At $6 billion, they just don't have enough power. Now, it doesn't mean that what they're saying doesn't have validity. It doesn't mean that Google doesn't need to potentially cut jobs. They probably do. They probably are a little bit overstaffed, as all these tech companies were. So whether they have influence or not, it doesn't mean that what they're saying isn't valid. But Google's not going to succumb to their pressure, because if they drop their money out or pull their money out, I don't know how that works. I don't think they're going to have any trouble getting similar types of investments. So I don't think that organization is taking a very good strategy. Do you think Amazon will continue with layoffs? Well, the primary layoffs with that were really in their underperforming divisions. Specifically, Alexa was a really big one, and they just weren't performing. They were losing money. So I don't know. Amazon's really tricky too, because how are we qualifying workers? Are we talking about desk jobs? We're talking about more warehouse workers. It's really just hard to tell. But will they lay off more corporate jobs? Yeah, I mean, I think there's always potential for that, right? Amazon is not shy to lay off. They've always kind of been that way, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but it's just kind of an unknown. Hey, Jeff, you just received an offer from Google this week. You'll be joining in December. Thanks to you and your super helpful videos. Amazing. Okay. So, everyone here, there's a small audience today. It's possible. It's happening. Hiring is still going on. There are still roles that need to be filled. And that's kind of the prompt of the thumbnail today is to just kind of say, hey, look, like hiring is happening. It's just going to be slower. There's going to be less positions. Now, the criticality of those fills, of the roles that need to be hired, can be a really good thing because potentially what that means is, hey, it's a critical role and maybe you get more comp because we don't want to back off of comp just because of these times. And if any questions come up regarding that, we can talk more about it. And congrats. Awesome, awesome news. And you're starting in December, which means you're refresher eligible next year, even though it's not totally gray, like it just guarantees that you'll get refreshers. So that's also good. Hey, Jeff, what's the total comp for a customer engineer SAP specialist with 9 to 10 years of experience at Google? Okay, so again, I'm most helpful. There's just 3 items that I need in order to help you with comp if I can, if I know the market: level, role, and location. Without that, it's way too broad. It's going to be the gamut. It's going to be very, very broad. So come back, let me know. Hey, Jeff, I just want to say thank you. Did a coaching session a few months ago. I didn't pass Google, but you passed Amazon. Amazing. Yeah, and I think that's, well, first of all, congrats. I mean, any of these big tech companies, remember, like you're going to get paid really well and the brand is going to be amazing. I think if anybody hopped on the live with Holly Lee and I, Holly's like the Amazon expert and I'm considered the Google expert, but really, in reality, we just are interview experts just because of you, because of the community, because of clients, because we've just had an opportunity to do it so many times and be in these environments that we've learned and gotten better along the way. So when you're looking at content for people, try and say, okay, like Holly Lee, for example, is a behavioral answering expert. So her behavioral answers and methodology would work for pretty much any company because all companies ask behavioral questions. Congrats. Thanks so much for letting us know. 2 of these today is really, really good news. So awesome. Should this be a new email or should I CC them on the old email? Okay, for some reason the first comment you didn't come through. So can you come back? Let us know. Okay, Michael. So L5 or L6? I believe this was Network Architect Atlanta, but let's just go back and confirm. Okay. What is the total comp for a network architect working for Google Cloud remotely from Atlanta? So they're going to take the cost of labor in the Atlanta market. Network architect L5, L6 total comp. L5 should be getting into the threes. Network architect. So some of the architect roles for GCP, typically the architect roles will actually have a sales component. That sales bonus is 42.86%. So with that, maybe the 5 pushes from low 3s into like the 320s, 330s. I think for an L6, it's possible to get up to 400. Again, you just want to figure out if that architect role has that sales component, but most architect GCP roles do have the sales component, which will drive it up. So what does that mean? L5, you're probably anchoring in the high 3s, and L6, maybe you're anchoring in the mid to high 4s would be my recommendation. I hope that helps. Okay. Coming back up. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to find my place. Okay. Selected the course in project management at Google, Coursera, 6-month course. Can I get the job there after completing the course? Maybe. maybe. Now, my strong recommendation here is any coursework is great. It's a learning. It's an opportunity to grow and develop your skills. I 100% recommend any learning in any facet. Even this week, I will tell you, I bought a course on Udemy on process, and it ended up being a manufacturing process audit uh, course. Valuable. It's not my core skill set, but it's teaching me items about process that I had just never considered. So I bought this $20 course or $18 course US, and I've been through part of it, and it was valuable. So I just think learning in every facet. But will you get the job because you complete the course? That is not a guarantee. Okay, but it will help in your evolution, your learning, etc. I don't know what happened after the hiring freeze. They delayed the offer. Okay, they delayed the offer. Yeah, absolutely. So what will happen with the hiring freeze? They delayed the offer, but okay. Okay, let us know what's going on. So you got the offer, but are they pushing through, or are we still waiting? So is it currently delayed as of today? Let us know. I have an offer from AWS. Is it a good time to accept an offer from AWS, or better to stay at my current company, which seems to be stable at this time? It's a good question. Yeah, I think it's really tricky, right? Because you will be taking on some risk. Got to look at the upside and the downside. If you take the leap, if you're getting a job opportunity at a company like AWS, what does that mean? Probably means your background's pretty solid. It probably means you're a pretty good interviewer. So, what I'm telling people is have the confidence to move forward, but just know that nothing is guaranteed. If you don't have a really powerful brand like AWS in your background, it's also a strong reason to consider it, because we all know the value of a brand. Brand is huge and very important. And as a funny side note, I think everybody knows nobody's utilized the Google brand as much as I have. And I left, we're approaching 5 years ago, still utilizing that brand, right? So that just shows you the power of a brand. So something else to consider when making your decision. I hope that helps. Hey Jeff, should I ask my Google recruiter about the layoff rumor? I just started a new contract this month with a pending extension 12/31. Should I be worried? Um, hey, yeah, of course. If you have a good relationship with your recruiter, why not ask them? But I don't think that they're not going to have that level of knowledge. I don't believe, but I would never want to stop you from asking that question. I think ask them. Should you have some concerns? I think we all need to make sure that it's not taking up too much of our mental space, right? And that it's not having too much impact on us. But I mean, could it potentially impact your contract? Of course. Yeah, of course. So absolutely ask around, but it's not within your control. So if you are worried, it may be an opportunity to just keep your eyes open, keep looking around. And anybody who's on a contract should always keep their eyes open. How can I apply for Google for my new ideas and new projects? What is in the contact details? You should have a section where you can add some information to tell them more about you. But obviously just careers.google.com will be where you apply. It's hard to get them to look at your background if you apply, because millions of people apply. So can you network? Can you get a referral in? That's my recommendation. How you stand out, that can be very hard in the application process. Hey Jeff, the thumbnails are getting amazing. Okay, thank you for that. I know my thumbnails are totally ridiculous, but they were so bad for so long, and they just were the same thing over and over and over again. If you go back, that kind of like plant growth theme, I wanted to have a theme of growth. I don't know if anybody ever actually got that, or I shared that was the theme, but now they're fun. And yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that. Just heard yesterday that 10K firing about happened in Alphabet's Google. Your thoughts, any verticals in which we can see this effect? So for right now, it's just rumors. Do they need to do a workforce reduction? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think none of this is confirmed. And I think it will be more targeted towards lower performing employees. But remember, only about, well, while I was there, only about 5% of the company falls into that needs improvement category. So they could start to lay off people who are in that category, currently on performance improvement plans. But I don't see any one division of Google really underperforming right now. So I don't think so. But again, I'm not there, so I can't say for sure. Hey, Jeff, I had my interview with HR last week. I believe it went well, but I have not heard anything from the recruiter. Should I send the note to the recruiter to get feedback? Yeah, friendly check-in. Hey, it was great chatting with you next week. Still excited and interested in the role. Just wanted to check in. And by the way, here's my availability over the next couple weeks to get that first interview started. So you're proactively giving them information so that they don't need to have a back and forth. Good luck. Let us know what happens. Yes, congrats. Hey, Jeff, your training helped me obtain an offer from Meta as a DC Infrastructure Services Manager in Northern Virginia. The position is a manager too. Amazing, John. Thanks, because I know you've been showing up for a while. They will present my offer next week. The recruiter knows I'm an L4 manager at AWS. I'm worried that they may lowball my salary based on that information. She also said they don't offer signing bonuses, and the total comp is 200 to 300. What should be my offer package expectation? Should I push for a signing bonus? Okay. Thank you for all your help. Still waiting on my offer from Google. Okay, so John, here's the big thing with Meta. They have been incredibly difficult to negotiate with this year. Incredibly difficult. So what does that mean? Whatever that initial offer is, it's not going to move the needle a lot. Maybe you can move the needle 20 to 25K. Should you push for everything? Yeah, push for everything. I've not seen a lot of sign-on bonuses this year from them. It's just not been very common. But it does happen. I have had clients get them, but you just need to push. They're going to say, where's the data? Where's your competing? Just push, push, push. They will get you more. It's just not going to be a lot more. Okay, so you just got to be aggressive but gracious and kind. You got to push, okay, as much as you can. That's all you can do. They're brutal to negotiate against this year. Anybody who's here, anybody who worked with me as a negotiation client with Meta, you know that we got 20 to 30K more per year, but it was an absolute battle to do it. Okay, so you're in for a bit of a battle, but just stay patient, stay gracious, stay kind. They're going to ask for data. Just push back, push back, push back, and keep us posted. Just completed your presentation interview this week for a CE, SAP specialist position. Is this a good time to join, and what would be the correct hiring level? Have no idea on level. I don't know anything about you or your background, but typically CEs are starting L5 and above. I've seen it down to even L3, which is kind of crazy, but I definitely have had a couple of CE L4 negotiation clients lately, but L5, L6, L7 is going to be more common. I just don't know anything about your experience to tell you. So if you want to tell us more, I can give you a ballpark, but it's just going to be a best guess. Okay, we are having a good day. You just got an offer from Google, amazing. Now, of course, make sure you negotiate. I know how many times you've showed up and you've been a part of this community. Same with John. This is great news. Hearing about all these offers today, 4 offers already. This is just less common in the lives these days. So amazing work. Just again, make sure that you negotiate. Remember, the big thing with Google is, if you're gracious and kind, no matter how big the anchor is, they're not going to rescind the offer. So just make sure in the anchoring you go big. Good timing. I literally just had Google Recruiter reach out to me an hour ago. Okay. Is there any more on that? Okay. No, but good news. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you. Hey, Jeff, I just got into Google. I'm starting next week. Just got the news today regarding Google layoffs. wanted to ask if Google are going to lay off new employees. Well, first of all, congrats. Again, we're having a good day for people getting offers, so it's a very, very positive sign. Really good for the community to see. I don't know. I mean, typically first in or last in, first out. It's called LIFO. Is more common, but there's no reason to back off of this. These layoffs are just rumors right now. You just got to push forward. Go ahead and start. Remember, this is outside of your control. Control what you can do. Get in there, build a good brand, and crush things. Congrats. Stay positive. That's all we can do in these economic times. Hey Jeff, I connected with a Google sourcer and recruiter. They said for now there isn't open roles in my area, cloud sales. However, if I'm interested, I can still go through the interviews and my scores will be valid for the duration of 6 months for any relevant opportunities that come up in the future. For now, they've put me in a prep session for an FSR role. What do you think? Absolutely, right? If we have an opportunity to just get in the interview process and do it, let's do it. Let's be that preferred person so that when an FSR role pops up, for example, they can just move forward with us. We don't want to wait. Other people will be taking the opportunity that you're being given now if you don't take it. Then you have an established internal relationship with the recruiter where you can create a cadence of back and forth. Just make sure you're prepared. Make sure you've practiced. And if you've done those items, I strongly suggest taking that path. The feedback will stick with you. And valid for a duration of 6 months is really not a correct statement. I mean, it should be valid for a year. It's a really, really weird thing to say, but don't worry about it. I say get after it. Get in front of it. You have the opportunity now. In a week, a month, 3 months, they might not give you that opportunity. So I say do it. Hey Jeff, what is the L5 Mountain View Program Manager role base comp range? Base comp range. L5 Mountain View Program Manager base. Probably like 160 to 180 on base. Yeah, maybe 165 to 185 on base. It's definitely not going to hit 2. It will cap, I would imagine, cap at like 180-ish. But total comp L5 program manager, I mean, you should be making into the 3s. Remember, I have this conversation with people all the time. Base pay is important. Base pay is very important in the Bay Area where your day-to-day cost of living is really higher than anywhere in the US. But Google doesn't look at that. They look at total comp. I have negotiation clients who can get very upset on the total base pay, but they're going to make $100,000 or $200,000 more per year, but they get so fixated on the base. And I'm not saying that's you, Roy, but it's just a general comment. They get so fixated on the base that they don't see the positive of the other comp. And just remember, Google's going to look at total comp. But that would be my range, like 160 to 180. Okay. Let's hey Michael, you're welcome. All right, let's go back. So now we have 1 of 1. If I continue to be able to reach out to anyone, should I just apply via the career sites? When I apply, will my recruiter see that I've previously passed on site and hopefully improve my chances? Should this be a new email or should I CC the team with the old email chain? If you haven't heard back from your recruiter, we want to make sure that we're utilizing that email that will instantly trigger. Like if they went dark on you and you've been in process and you went through your on-site and then you haven't heard back from them, I think it's candidate-support. Somebody come in. Anybody who knows that address, I can look it up really quickly just to make sure I have it. But there's a specific email address that we're going to use, and usually that will get our recruiter to follow up with us within 24 hours. I'm forgetting it, and I really should know this off the top of my head. I'm sorry. If anybody knows that email, I know there's somebody in here. It's like candidate-support-something. It's like candidate-support-interview@google.com. But if anybody knows, please come in and we'll make sure that we get that right. And we'll get that right before the end of the live. I promise. comp for customer engineer, SAP specialist, India level 5. Yeah, customer engineer. So here's what we're going to do for the India market. What I want you to do is I want you to look at what L5 software engineers are making. Look at the last 10 to 20 hires for software engineers. Take that average number, times it by about 90%, 85 to 90%, and that will be your total comp. So when you anchor, you've got to anchor above that number. But for customer engineers, they're getting close to software engineers. This is the trick, levels.fyi. We're going to always look at software engineers. That's where we'll have the most data. For most non-tech roles, it's about 70%, but for customer engineers, it's about 90%. Use that formula. I hope that helps. Hey, Jeff, thanks for your coaching a couple of years ago. Absolutely. I didn't pass Google final round, but it was an incredible experience. Do you think tech companies will continue office campus expansion with remote and hybrid work? Curious to know if they'll continue their real estate department, maybe development. Yeah, so yes, we've actually seen that they're continuing to build, which is an interesting model. It'll be interesting in the future to see if it does return to more time in the office. But yeah, I have seen continuing expansion, like a big one in San Jose, in the Bay. They're continuing to build that out. So maybe it's not quite as aggressive as it used to be, but they're still building for sure. Good question. Good to see you. Hey, Jeff, Google has about 14 billion shares in circulation with $97 a share, which is close to 1,344 billion. So 6 billion is minuscule if only stocks are considered. Yeah, thanks for that, Raul. And now that you're here, please on that email address, because I know you have it and I know you can share it, and my brain will promise to have the connectivity on that email address, but I know you know it, so if you please share it with us. Yeah, I think that company trying to put pressure on Google, they really have limited perspective on their power. And I think that they're creating a bad brand for themselves, thinking that they can push Google around. A company that has a $6 billion investment isn't going to push Google around. Google will consider the data just because it's data, but they're not going to make decisions based on what that company is telling them to do. And whoever at the top felt like this was a good approach, Google's just way too powerful for that. We're past the 30s, so I'm just going to do a quick prompt. At 30s, I just like to share a little bit of data. If this is your first time here, my name is Jeff H. Sipe. The business is practiceinterviews.com. I do interview coaching, one-on-one negotiation coaching. And if you've never been to practiceinterviews.com, sign up today. There's a couple there. We're doing a Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal. I'm giving the biggest discount I've ever given on the interview mastery course, and I'm giving discounts on interview and negotiation coaching that will roll through Cyber Monday. If you've never signed up, sign up. We'll trigger a couple more emails throughout the week so that you'll get an opportunity to get those discounts. If you like what we're doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, consider subscribing. Hi, Jeff. I am 2022 pass out from bachelor degree in computer science. How can I get a SWE job at Google? Okay, so remember, my strong recommendation is to utilize friends and try and get a referral. I really like networking, or you can apply. But outside of that, I don't have any other advice for you to really stand out. Now, I do want you to make sure that you're utilizing some of these online resources to really practice your technical skills, really get that down, and then always remember soft skills too. You're going to have to pass that interview to get the job. You passed HC and found a team, but still haven't gotten an offer letter. Should you be worried? Past HC, you found a team. Yeah, I would be following. I don't want you to be worried, but your recruiter if you passed HC and you have a team match, your recruiter should be informing you and keeping you up to date. Just check in. Hey, I'm excited about next steps in the process. What's the best way to proceed? They shouldn't send you an offer letter. The next step should be they should ask you for your compensation expectations, at which point you're going to anchor extremely high. But yeah, you should be hearing from them. And I'm seeing recruiters drop off at this part in the process. And that to me is extremely confusing because this is like the end of the deal for them. They're trying to close the sale. You are a sale in their mind. You're a number. So when they drop off at this stage, it's unbelievable that this happens. I can't believe it happens. Like, I don't remember cases of this happening while I was there. Sorry, everyone. Caffeinating and hydrating. How can you get an opportunity? Okay, so same question. Hey, Jeff, could you share any hidden perks Google has to offer their employees but not widely known? Well, there's definitely one for women, which is and for for couples, it's the freezing of eggs. Like every time you go in and in case you want to future plan to have children, but you're not ready yet, and you want to freeze your eggs. In the U.S., that's about $20,000 to $25,000 every time that procedure is done. It's free through Google. They'll do it a few times. I had a friend, she lives up in the Bay. She had this, and now she's pregnant and having her first child, and she utilized this. It is an unbelievable benefit because it's a quality of life thing, especially because the cost is so significant. It removes the questioning if you are considering having kids in the future, but you're not ready now. That is a great one. The death benefit is great. If you're not familiar with the death benefit, basically, if you're a Google employee and you pass away unexpectedly, your spouse will receive half of your salary for 10 years. I think that still exists. That is a crazy one that people don't know about. One of the other one, there's a couple of other ones that are fun because it's just fun to talk about. So you get discounts at all sorts of large vendors. Like I used to buy a lot of surf gear from like O'Neill, and it was like 40% off just because I was a Google employee. And then the last one, I think this one is probably maybe one of the least known, is that Google has partnerships with a ton of hotels. So if you're a Google employee, you don't have to be taking a business trip to take advantage of those hotels. I did not realize this benefit until a couple of years after working there. So what that means is hotels that are normally like $200 or $300 a night, maybe there's a Google benefit and you can pay $100 a night as a Google employee, and it's a personal trip, but you still get the benefit. You're just putting it on your personal card. Great question. Those are a few fun ones, and I took advantage of all of those ones except for the egg freezing, well, and the death benefit, of course. The offer is still delayed. Okay, so they'll probably extend the offer into Q1 of 2023. The recruiter said he is trying to extend it sooner. Okay, just stay positive, and keep us posted. Okay, yeah, you've done everything you can do, so now you just kind of need to sit back and just hope that things land the way you want them to, and just create that follow-up cadence with that recruiter. Should I check in once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month? What's a good average time for me to check in? Okay, so I think that this is, hey Mohammed, so no need to repeat questions. I'll get to everything, so same advice. Some say we should negotiate post-promo salary. Sure, the discrepancy between the negotiated salary of the person hired into a level is higher than someone promoted into it being towards the bottom of the band. Wouldn't this negotiation be with your manager? Seems like it would be a different dynamic than negotiating with HR. Is this negotiation possible? We should negotiate post-promo past. I'm a little confused by this question. A lot of this stuff would depend on the organization. I mean, if you're coming in initially, you should definitely be negotiating for a higher range than probably employees are making in that role right now. If you get promoted, it would depend on the company. Some companies probably have flexible negotiation when it comes to promotion. I can tell you the big companies, when you get promoted, that promotion range is not negotiable. Michael, I don't know. I don't know what the other question is from Good Sign. So if you want to come back and let us know. You're welcome, John. Good luck. You're going to have to be really patient, really kind with your meta negotiations, okay? But just push, push, push. They will move the needle a little bit. It's just not going to be a ton. Whatever that first number is, 20K up to 30K, about 30K. It's been the most I've been able to move the needle with them recently without any data. I know it's off topic and silly, but I'm curious about the frame picture behind you, second to your left. I can't tell whether that's a UFO with wings or Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, so I moved offices, so I'm in a shared office space where I live in San Diego, but I moved offices and can't get the lighting right in here, and now the light above me just tends to shut off. I have all sorts of issues with my setup. If anybody's seen my videos, my setup, it just continually is a work in progress, but everything is beach themed. So we can go in here. This is, to the right is like a digital wave, which is getting a bad reflection. This is definitely a turtle. This is a very old one from a guy who sits in Mission Beach in San Diego and does fingernail painting. His name is Miguel. I love him. His stuff is great. I need more of it. And then all the way to the right is La Jolla Cove in San Diego. Great question. Are you seeing any L4 PMs come through the hiring freeze? Yeah, Adam. So again, I know that this is weird, but it's just like PM. Are we talking about PM product managers or PM program managers? Often referred to as PGMs, not that you should know that, but I am seeing both. But like everything else, not at a high level, not in big numbers, right? In smaller numbers. Hey Jeff, reminder: past Meta DC site manager back in June. Okay. Recruiter is more engaged since layoffs. More opportunities for my role will come up in 2023. This is an M2 level position. Okay, Steven. You've been through everything, right? So at this point, you just got to continue to hang out. But yeah, like the site manager roles, like they're just absolutely critical roles, and it's a very specialized skill set, in my opinion. There's lots of nuances there. Just keep us posted. Yeah, and good luck. And you've been super patient throughout, so just got to continue that patience path. That's all you can do. Third time's the charm, I think, because I posted it to the email address. So remove the first message. Okay, so yeah, you've been unable to reach anyone. And so we're going to get you that email address, okay? You've been unable to reach anyone previously past onsite. The recruiter will see. Oh, okay. Here we go. You should definitely use your old email if you've passed previous onsites. Creating a new email looks like a new candidate and they won't be able to attach it. So use your old email. But if you can't reach anybody, a little bit more on the timing. Did you pass the onsite 1 month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and you never heard back? We're going to get that email address for you if that's the case. Now, if it's been longer, obviously, if you want to reapply, referrals recommended, networking recommended. But let us know more, and I can be more helpful. Also, Google Recruiter contacted me yesterday to expect my virtual interviews to be set up for a TPM after the upcoming holiday weekend. I'll continue reviewing your content. All right. The TPM roles, remember, just TPMs in 2022 saw a massive uptick in compensation. So they're great roles. In general, they're great roles anyway, but the comps have been good. And then some of these TPM hires, at least for Google, have been critical hires where I've seen unbelievable compensation. So something else to keep in mind, Stephen. Good news, finally got an offer for a GCP CE L4 after 6 months. Your channel has been tremendous help. Thank you so much. Offer is indeed close to 90% of SWE at L4 in USA. You rock. Okay, amazing. And CEs, like it's been a tough It's been a tough 4 or 5 months for CEs. They haven't been hiring a lot, but lately the doors have opened a little bit, and I've seen a number of CE hires over the last month. So this is great news. And yes, 90% of what a SWE is making for CEs, that's been the trend lately. So that's what you should be targeting. Congrats, and thank you so much for letting us know. I think we have 5 or 6 people letting us know they got offers. So companies are hiring. It does answer the question on the thumbnail. You can get jobs. There's less of them, but they're out there. Any tips for RRK questions about handling complexity or prioritization? Um, yeah, I mean, it depends on whether it's a behavioral question, you're just going to provide that great example, right? But when it's open ended, like when it comes to complexity and prioritization, I just really need to understand the operational stuff, right? Like, well, what are the overall goals? I really need to know the historical data. Timeline is absolutely critical. I do need to know the risks. So this is again very, very program management driven framework. And then of course collaboration. Who are those critical stakeholders and how do I build that vision with them? Complexity and prioritization usually comes with working with others. Those are some of the concepts I would focus in on. Yep, email for candidate interview support. We're going to get that. Somebody's going to come up with it, and if they don't, I will go into a new tab and I'll go find it. We should have it shortly. I know somebody's going to throw it in here for us. What about Google Apprenticeship Program? How much do we get paid? Okay, apprenticeship. I would need to know more about the type of apprenticeship and what market, what location. Okay. Hi, Jeff. I passed HC for L5 program manager. My recruiter said 3 out of 4 interviews put me at an L6. They're making me repeat RRK program management L6 as my previous RRK scores were between L5 and L6. Any advice? Crush it. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta L5 and L6. It's a big difference from a comp perspective. L6, excuse me, is a big. It's a jump up because the bonus percent goes from 15 to 20%. It's just a bigger role. So make sure you're driving towards strong amounts of leadership and collaboration, but don't focus too much on that. If you have not practiced for this, it doesn't have to be for me, but make sure you're practicing. It's too critical of an interview to not practice and not prep and put all your time and energy into it. I know it's hard when you've gone through everything and it's like resetting, but the difference between L5 and L6, think about the comp difference. I mean, we're talking, okay, so L5 program manager to L6 anywhere. I mean, you're talking a minimum 50, 60, 70, 80K. So what is the value of that? Start to do the math on that. How many hours can you put in? What's the value of those hours? I mean, you're talking probably about thousands of dollars per hour of prep that you put in. So if you think about it that way, you got to kick your own butt and go crush it. Okay, let us know how it goes. Does any role get signing bonus with Google? Lots of roles get signing bonuses with Google. My recommendation is to not negotiate a signing bonus in your initial negotiations. Bring it in as a factor later. Why? Because they're heavily focused in on year 1 and year 2 comp. And so signing bonuses can sometimes skew year 1, where I'd like to drive it towards more balance in base and equity. And then later on in negotiations, I like to bring in sign-ons. But it's very common to get a sign-on. It doesn't happen all the time, and sometimes there's no method to the madness. Okay, it's not these roles get it and these roles don't. It's weird. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Stitch, not Lilo. I know the movie. I don't know who's who either, but it's definitely a turtle. Yeah, big turtle fan. I'm prepping to take AWS certifications while the offer is delayed as a way to show them I'm still engaged in the role. Do you think that might be helpful to anticipate my offer? I think it might be helpful for you to add value earlier on in your career. It's not gonna be a motivator for them to move forward or not move forward. So don't really worry about that. I want you to think about hitting the ground running and being able to contribute at a stronger level so that you can get promoted faster, etc. So that's the way you should be looking at it. It's not going to be a motivator for them, but it should be a motivator for you to hit the ground running. I hope that helps. Just off topic today, as we kind of have a fun session, I do like your haircut more on the trendy side and the rare otherwise. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, the hair is a little long, but that's okay. Hey Jeff, for remote roles as a network engineer, what do you think would be a reasonable salary? Okay, so remember, remote is still remote location driven. So what is the market that you'd be working from remotely? So they're looking at cost of labor for your market. That doesn't matter if you're physically going into the office or remote. So what's the location and what's the level? Those are the things I can help with. And obviously we know it's a network engineer. Hi Jeff, I'm being offered an L5, but I was expecting an L6. When I asked the recruiter, they said level is almost non-negotiable. You'd want to qualify almost. You're not trying to negotiate level. You're trying to understand if you were to do an additional interview or two, would you be putting anything at risk? And is that something that they would consider based on the feedback they're seeing? That's poor communication on their end. You're not supposed to be the expert, they are. So they should communicate in a better and more clear manner. And some of this is the challenge of recruiters' inability to show proactive communication and demonstrate and understand and have that empathetic approach that you don't know how the organizational things work. Push for 6. You may or may not be able to get it, but you should be probing a little bit more. I hope that helps. YouTube seems like it's blocking it. Okay, awesome. It's candidate-interview-support@google.com. Candidate-interview-support@google.com. For anybody, your recruiter goes dark for 3-4 weeks. You don't hear anything after the interviews, especially when you get into the interview process, phone or on-site. Use this. You'll hear back. You'll hear back in 24 hours or less. I don't think Google wanted me to have this email or know this, but those recruiters are definitely getting poked when this happens. And we're seeing 100% response rate basically in 24 hours. I wouldn't use it too early on. It can create a bad relationship with the recruiter, but 3 or 4 weeks after any interview with them giving nothing, you checking in every week, candidate-interview-support@google.com. Okay, thank you for that. I knew we'd have somebody come in, and I don't know why. I think it's the dashes that mess up with my mind. So candidate, so we're just thinking candidate interview support. I think I'll mentally have it. Thanks. What does a day in the life of Jeff look like? Well, today on a live day, I make sure that all my responses to my community have been completed. So there's no lingering responses in Slack or YouTube. I'll go ahead and do this live. After mornings are usually business focused. So I focus in on building my business, growing my business, and then afternoons into the evenings are client time. And I typically do work 7 days a week. I take clients Saturday and Sunday mornings. I like doing the client work, and I like my business, right? So I don't mind working in my business as much as I need to. And I'll be probably sharing with the community as we go through the later parts of this year. I've been hesitant to tell the community what's going on because I am actually working on a new business opportunity, but I'll be sharing that as it evolves, and probably be sharing a little bit more this year. But that's something I've also been working on quite a bit over the last few months. Hey Jeff, thanks for your great content. I'm happy to share that following your advice, I've managed to be a finalist at Google. Recruiter said now it's at the packet phase. Can you tell me something about that? All your information is driven through their ATS system, their applicant tracking system called GHire. So they basically, it's just a PDF. They'll pull all your interview feedback. They'll put in the hiring manager statement of support, if applicable, and then they'll put this packet of information together. It's just, again, feedback, your resume, hiring manager statement of support, and they'll share it with hiring committee. And hiring committee will review all that information. So you should be going to the hiring committee stage, the offer review stage. That's what they meant by packet. Again, you are not internal to the organization. How would you possibly know what packet means? They just need to do a better job of communicating information that you clearly wouldn't know because you're external to the work. Thanks, Jeff. Completed onsite 5 months ago. Was in touch with my recruiter until early October, and then have not received a response to follow-up emails. Candidate interview support at google.com. It's time. Send that email if it's been since October. Okay. Top skills for sources and recruiters to stay relevant and have success. Very interested in your thoughts on what technology will do to recruiting the future. Former GTVC sourcer. Thanks, Jeff. I do think that technology will eventually remove the recruiting and sourcing role. I think that there are ways to remove recruiters and sourcers. I just think it's the reality. Good profile matching, proactive reach outs, AI's ability to read through the resume and match and say, hey, we hit on your 5 keywords. Would you be interested? So I think it can be removed. I think maybe you would just have somebody come in and be like a closer, or have people walk them through the process, but that could be YouTube videos. I think recruiting and sourcing will not exist in the future. What that looks like and how soon, I can't say for sure. Now, the way to stay relevant as a recruiter or sourcer is just to be way more organized than everybody else and have massive amounts of empathy, psychological safety, just like the soft skills and ability to put themselves in the candidate's shoes and being massively organized. And these were skills that I would say I didn't really have until I was about, maybe 6 months into Google. And then I really had to, maybe actually earlier on. One of my first boss at Google really taught me like a couple tips and tricks, and then I kind of evolved and adapted that. So very, very defined systems that I created for myself. And that's why my candidate surveys were always good. Like the question, did I hear back from my recruiter in a timely manner? I think everybody knows, everybody did, because I had a system for doing it. And I think recruiters think they can wing it without a system, and sourcers without a system. It's going to fail. And then the empathetic approach. And one of the biggest pieces of empathy is the phone call. The phone call is so critical. If I had a candidate in the phone not get through the phone or on-site interview, they got a call from me or HC. It was a phone call 100% of the time. Why? Because I wanted to provide that feedback verbally, and I wanted to get feedback from them. What could I have done better? What could we have done better as an organization in the process? So I learned in every single one of those phone calls. What happened? I got better. I was able to give feedback about negative interviewer experience. And then that survey came out later. So what do you think that candidate was going to do in my survey? I'd taken the time to just have the 5-minute conversation that so many recruiters weren't willing to do. It's the little things that add up. Total tangent. I know, but obviously I'm pretty passionate about it. Thanks for the question, Corey. It's a digital marketing apprenticeship program in India. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back quite a bit because I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what that role pays. So I would just say do your online research. But again, it sounds like it's more about focusing in on getting the interviews and getting the job. Don't worry too much about the comp. I mean, for an apprenticeship, it'll be better paid than probably any other apprenticeship around. Thanks for that, Raul. I knew you'd come in here. Candidate-interview-support. This is for 3 to 4 weeks after you've had an interview, you've had hiring committee, you've had some sort of stage, and you haven't heard back. Candidate-interview-support at google.com. You'll hear back in 24 hours. I have a feeling that team's getting busier lately, which is a good thing, because those recruiters should be getting poked. And that should actually be a flag. If that email goes through, when they follow up to reach out, it's a team that gets these emails, they follow up with the recruiter, that should be flagged up to the manager. The manager should be very, very upset if those emails are going to that person. So make sure we use that email address. Oh, sorry, bro. I think I just double hit that. I have finished all interview rounds, HM for TSEL4 India. Told them my candidature has been put on hold due to role prioritization. Any idea when it will resume? Unfortunately, no. I have no idea, but I can tell you that TSEs are important roles. The cadence with your recruiter. Hey, I'd love to stay in touch. Just to stay in touch. Is it okay with you if I just check in with you once a month? Just check in once a month. Just set that cadence, just so you're staying top of mind for them, but you're not pinging or poking them all the time. Okay, but I can't tell you when it will come back. I just have no idea. All right, we're at the hour stage. I think we're probably going to wrap up here pretty soon. So I'm actually just going to, let's see what we got here. Oh, we got quite a few questions. Okay, so practiceinterviews.com. If you've never downloaded anything, joined our Slack group, go to practiceinterviews.com and sign up. Why? Because I'm offering a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, but you only get that newsletter if you've signed up or downloaded anything on the website. I'm not going to spam you. Like, this is just a once a month newsletter. You can unsubscribe anytime. But in there, I have the biggest discount I've ever offered for my interview mastery course. And I'm offering discounts on negotiation and interview coaching to the first 10 people that take advantage of that offer. So just make sure, check your email. And if you haven't signed up, go to Practice Interviews and sign up. Obviously, I do one-on-one interview coaching and negotiation coaching. I have that interview mastery course. We're getting great feedback on that and free resources. Join our Slack group. It's free. And we have 9 great free resources on the website as well. On that investment firm trying to get Google to do layoffs, I think there's a general push by the investment class against the recent improvements in the labor market for workers. Okay. So it's great having you out there pushing our prices up. Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting. Go out. It's now public information, that letter they sent. It's just really, really interesting that they think that they have power. And yeah, like, Google has done a very good job to protect their workers. I can't say that will always apply, but they've done a good job on holding off on layoffs thus far. I applied for the position, got rejected 3 months later, and the recruiter contacted me for the position. I have my first interview next week. How would you interpret that? Yeah, it's just timing, right? Like in life, as we all know, as we get older, everything's about timing, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like, this is going to be the ebbs and flows of the business. What I would really focus in on is it's a slow week, right, in the US at least. So take the time to prepare and practice. If you are not practicing with another human being, it does not need to be me, but you need to verbalize those answers and get a response from another human. It is going to be critical. Okay, so definitely take those steps. What kind of a premium does FANG SWE bring in this condition? I've seen people seem to get turned off when I say FANG. Yeah, I mean, FANG, MANG, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, who cares? It's a premium. These roles are just going to pay a premium in general. So I don't think that the current times, are really impacting that at all. Getting a software engineering role at one of these big companies is going to do a lot for your career. You'll learn a lot, and you may decide, hey, I don't want to work in that niche space. I want to go and work on more broader skills. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. You mentioned to someone to negotiate sign-on later in the negotiation. One of your videos suggests negotiating all aspects as one part of building a good recruiter relationship. Well, yeah, up front, we want to try and negotiate on everything, but this is just a Google specific tactic, because when they changed their stock model to be more heavily weighted towards year one, we needed to change our approach, right? And that's why I've backed off of adding the sign-on into negotiation. So my approach changed with them. And some of the stuff I put in the videos, I mean, just candidly, like, it's going to change. I do want you to negotiate for everything up front as much as it makes sense. Just with Google in general, I don't like negotiating sign-on up front. And then actually, as we get into additional negotiations, I only negotiate on one thing at a time. Meaning, I throw out the heavy anchor. If they ask for the breakdown, I'll give them the base and equity perspective. And then when they come back, I'll just negotiate on equity. Then if they come back again, I'll just negotiate on base. Then if they come back again, I'll just try and build a sign on in. It's just my method. I've found a ton of success with that method. I hope that helps. Yeah, Michael, just got to kick your own butt. That's it. Just got to prep and practice like crazy. Hey, Jeff, I'm going into the first round of TAM. Any specific tip for that one? Well, if you're going into TAM RRK1, yeah, there's two RRKs. One's the presentation round, one's the straight up RRK. Just bring in as much GCP technology as you can. They're going to tell you you don't need to know it. Your competitors know it. If you're not really familiar with GCP, go to Google Cloud Testimonials page, and then obviously be ready to bring up your great examples, and then CFAS for open-ended questions. Always solve wearing the hat of the TAM, okay? Thank you, Jeff. You're in the process for Google Supply Chain PgM London. Went through 3 rounds, no HC. I wasn't matched for the last role. Recruiter said, we'll stay in touch when new positions open. Okay. What do you think is my best strategy right now? Should I push for HC? How often should I contact my recruiter? I don't know that you should push for HC, but you build the cadence with that recruiter. So you ask them. Instead of you picking the cadence, say, hey, is it cool if I check in once a month with you just to keep myself top of mind for you? Does that work for you? Can I check in once every 2 weeks? Just ask. Because they're going to appreciate that, or I would really appreciate that as a recruiter, and say, yeah, hey, check in with me once a month. I think that's a really good cadence, but just ask them. Your ability to push for HC, you're not going to have as much control on that. I hope that helps. How long does it take for HC to give an answer? So this is a crazy one. Like 100% of my candidates at Google knew the time that HC was happening and knew exactly when they'd hear back from me. HC is meeting at 10 a.m. Pacific time this Thursday. You'll hear back from me by no later than 11:05 a.m. HC is an hour. If you're the last candidate that's reviewed, just give me a few minutes to get back to my desk, use the bathroom, but you'll hear from me no later than 11:05 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. I mean, this is what I set up every time they got a call, 100% of the time. So HC takes an hour. Now, how long does it take once you get into the HC process? Your recruiter should be telling you the exact day and time you're going into HC. All of a sudden, this just completely seemed to disappear this year. Like nobody knows when they're going to HC, when they're going to hear back from HC, and it's just, I just can't figure out what's going on with these recruiters these days. I just think there's a lack of training. There's so much turnover and leadership and management. These people aren't being managed. And I think lastly, like candidates just aren't making them feel the pain enough in the surveys, or the surveys aren't being taken seriously enough, because the amount of mistakes is just, it just seems like it's getting to be more and more and more. And it blows my mind. Hey, Jeff, is there a corresponding support ID that exists for Meta? And also any update on Meta hiring? I don't know of a support email for Meta. If anybody does, please let us know. No updates on Meta other than it's kind of attrition roles and higher priority roles as of right now. Hi, Jeff. I recently interviewed for a program manager role and you're waiting to hear back from the recruiter. How sooner to follow up in today's market situation? Already past 2-week mark today. Yeah, I mean, check in for a few weeks. And then again, if you don't hear back, then if this is Google, then you'll use that candidate-interview-support@google.com. A couple weeks is pretty common. Again, that's unfortunate. You should never go that long, but maybe go another week before using that email. No. So I don't book shorter calls than the interview coaching session just because I don't find value in it. And if anybody's been my client before, they know I do build in a contingency. So oftentimes, I'm not trying to sell this, it just depends on the candidate, but I'm not hard stopping at an hour. I always have extra time built in so we can roll over. So we do. It's just the value won't be there in a shorter session. So I don't currently offer a shorter session. Hey, Jeff, I'm having trouble accessing the website content. I've tried to forget my password a couple times with no success. Yeah, can you just hit me up, Steven, just to remind me, just hit me up on the chat feature. I handle the chat. on my website. So I'll get back to you quickly. We'll get that fixed for you. Okay. I appreciate it. And by the way, just a quick note in the chat. A lot of times people will use the chat to ask me about my prices or say, hi, Jeff, or any of that stuff. I don't answer any of those questions. If you're on my website, you can find out the prices. They're right there. You just got to plug in a little bit of information, and just all the basic stuff and basic questions. I'm just going to push everybody back to the Slack group, throw in a YouTube comment, join the lives. The chat is really for more urgent, pressing stuff. And I would say, Stephen, I think this is pressing. I want to make sure you have access. So please hit me up in the chat. I appreciate it. Okay, we just answered that one. SWEs are going to be a case-by-case basis. I think for L3s and L4s, you'll see some opening up in Q1 and Q2 of next year, but it will be slow. I think L5 and above will be a little bit more common hiring. Just remember, SWEs are critical roles and by far the highest attrition rate. People are just coming and going out of SWE roles, which is understandable. A lot of the SWE roles are hired as more junior level roles, 3 and 4, and people move around a lot in their careers in their 20s and early 30s. So you're going to see attrition. You'll see roles popping up, but just general, I don't know. Happy Thanksgiving, Jeff, and all. Till next time, thank you for anybody in the U.S. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you get a little bit of downtime, and obviously the real important piece of Thanksgiving is that hopefully you get to spend it with people you care about a lot, and to be grateful if you're able to put food on a table. Remember, we talk about some crazy numbers and some crazy stuff in these live sessions, right? And so it's an opportunity to just have massive amounts of gratitude that, for people in the U.S., especially putting food on the table and having access to food and being able to have that is just something that, not everybody in the world has. So thanks for that reminder, Liz. Appreciate it. It's the same question. Yeah, okay. So no need to repeat questions. I'll get to them. And so thank you for that. What is the percent of people who goes to HC that get an offer? I would say it's about a third. A third of people will make it straight up through HC. You're a clear-cut case. Another third probably won't make it. And then there's that third where maybe they want more information. It depends on the role. So, I would say 3 years doing program managers, maybe it was a little higher, maybe it was 40%. Maybe for software engineers, it was 25%. It just depends. So, but not everybody makes it through HC. It's definitely a bar that makes Google tougher to get into. Joining Google as an L7 senior finance manager, the recruiters were so awesome. They closed it in 10 to 15 days, an MS competing offer, so Google just expedited. Thanks for your videos. There are good recruiter stories. And here's the thing. We don't hear about the good recruiters, right? Nobody comes in here and says, not nobody, obviously we have one, but more often we're hearing about the negative experiences. And half the recruiters at these companies are doing awesome. This is the other kind of unknown about Google, and these big companies, they can expedite. I once had I think it was maybe one day I was able to turn around interviews, HC, offer signed in one day. Was that common? No, I did it maybe once. Did I do it in a couple days? Yeah, sure, maybe once. Did I do it in a week? Multiple times. If they want to hire you, they can expedite. They can get all the interviewers. They can get an offline HC. They can get comp and escalate it up to comp. There are a number of steps that can be taken. So just remember, it's always possible. So if you want to go out there and get it competing, you have good relationships at these companies, don't think that it's just going to take forever. Sometimes if they really want you, they can move mountains. Okay, we had a pretty good showing today. I was pretty excited. I think we had a good turnout considering it's this week. Again, I talked about this last week. The live sessions were different. In June, July, obviously there was a lot of interest when the freeze happened, but things are slow for me, slow for everybody. So let's do everything we can during this holiday season to either push to get those interviews, push our prep and practice. These are skills we can continue to learn and grow. If you've never signed up for anything on the practice interviews site, just make sure that you sign up because we have a couple really great special offers. Check your spam folder. It might end up there. If you don't want to ever hear from me again, those newsletters, you can just hit unsubscribe. Like, no offense taken. Some people just don't want stuff in their inbox, but you'll just get a monthly newsletter from me. And obviously, you're just going to get this special Black Friday and Cyber Monday offering. Remember, still a good time to get interview coaching, negotiation coaching. This is a great time to take that interview mastery course. There is a deep discount on that with that sale. If you liked what we did today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, I go live every 10 a.m. every Tuesday, and 10 a.m. Pacific time every Tuesday, and new content videos every other Monday. Yep. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for being here. Put in the work, as always. Thank you, everybody, so much. Let me just answer these last questions that are coming in, and then I'm going to sign off. In case someone doesn't get an offer after the HC evaluation, can you try again? Well, let's start from the beginning. It will start from the beginning of the interview process, okay? But most likely, there sometimes can be repurposing, but if you don't make it through HC, you will have another chance. Like, the likelihood of you not passing HC and being in the interview process again in a year or less is very, very high. You're welcome. To everybody in the US, have a great Thanksgiving. To everybody else, of course, just have a great week. I will be back next Tuesday. And thank you, as always, for being here. I appreciate it.